So day one wasn't actually day one. Previous to day one, Heather's background was gone through with a fine-tooth comb for about 6 weeks to 6 months prior. Her friends, families, and associates were thoroughly researched and had possibly been contacted by her provocators, posing as new church members, local neighbors, and concerned police claiming to care about Heather's well-being. Her computer and phone was hacked into, as well as other smart devices. Overall, data has been getting gathered via her phone and personal network, much longer than she understands. So for all intents and purposes, you can start to understand where something strange can seem like just a coincidence and quickly start to pop up over and over again. Monday, the stranger at the coffee shop heard her argument live via a hot mic from her phone, which is why he was able to mock the tone, timing, and words with such accuracy, ensuring she would take notice. Then later that night on her phone, she was getting shown clickbaity stories about her significant other cheating. Most likely, this is also some evolution of the prison software Edward Snowden is actually very famous for revealing. Coincidentally, Heather's partner also tells her that he is leaving to meet a friend in the morning. This probably means his phone is also hacked, and the people who've been contracted to manipulate Heather's internet are using information from a phone call he had earlier that day. So, what would seem like a normal situation has actually been seeded with doubt for Heather. Something that would have tipped Heather off would be the dates on the post, because the news article that she read from her feed about cheating spouses in the morning was actually from months prior. This allows it to look like the algorithm picked the story and wasn't injected into her feed. One of the tricks this social media feed tweaking software does is inject things into your newsfeed, hoping to give you an emotional response or something called behavioral priming. Something you see as just an algorithm to put content in your feed can be edited and hijacked to nudge your behavior. Day 3, when Heather was listening to music on the phone, advanced Prism-like software and industry-level backdoors had now turned every app, notification, and even function in Heather's phone into something that can be easily edited. Her phone is less of a pocket computer and more of a window into what they want Heather to see and hear. Later that day, our Mark, Heather, sees comments that badmouth her activities at church. Then later that night, it's gone. The official name for this is a sock puppet account, and this kind of tactic is used to get a response, then delete the original comments, so just your crass comments to the harassment are left for your friends and family to see. But the sock puppets are gone. Sock puppet refers to accounts on social media that seem friendly, or ones that you would follow, but are in fact copies or mirrors of friends' accounts used to cause strife, confusion, or give you conflicting, igniting information, and then remove it after the objective is met. The lady on the phone at work probably did send her order in time, and Heather did her job. But this is what having a hacked computer will do to your performance at work. Once your work computer is hacked, an agent can hide files, use databases, and manage email as if they were sitting right there at the computer. This is possible by the creation of something called RAT software, or RAT, short for Remote Access Tools. Believe it or not, presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke was a hacker in the group called Cult of the Dead Cow, which developed early versions of the software used to remotely operate Windows computers, much like how Heather's phone is being manipulated now. This software could have easily been installed by a cleaning service, malicious email, or even physical contact with a device or network weeks prior. Okay, so we're moving fast, but we're going to go over each step in detail after this short explanation. And if you watch each micro clip after this explanation series, explaining every element of this targeted harassment, you can begin to build a congruent picture and even help others who don't understand they are targets of this abuse. Now, the Mark Heather, who is stressing about her boyfriend, could also have had his phone controlled by the same backdoor software and even had a SIM card copied. Regardless of the method to gain control, gatekeeping traffic such as messages, alerts, app traffic, etc., and depending on the hack, could shut the phone off or even brick his device. Most people see your phone as a mini computer where you keep your personal info on and keep not so private things in the cloud. The reality is, your phone can be converted into just a window into the web. With the right access, a government worker or contractor can gain access, add or remove files, even remote control actions on your phone itself as the user. Moving on day 3, and Heather can't reach her boyfriend. She's had a bad day at work, and now she's out at the grocery store and people start having a conversation right next door. And she notices because she hears her name. Hearing your name is an obvious trigger, just like the phrase trigger warning. You hear a word or phrase that sets you off or grabs your attention. The way this was used was a harassment method called indirect communication. This allows a person to address the target with information or harassing words without actually talking to them. Then use that open listening channel to communicate an idea, whether it's harassing or something that the target can digest and associate with ideas later in that day that's also part of this harassment. On the way home, she listens to what seems random, but is a very curated list of songs reinforcing seeds of ideas pertaining to possible infidelity of her spouse. So when she gets home and sees her other half with another woman, it triggers an emotional response associated with the ideas that she must have had a cheating partner. After a fight with her boyfriend, she's home alone and she eats her food, and then some hours later she wakes up. When she wakes up and the drama of the home intruder happens, it's actually coordinated. And her food was laced with a sedative at the actual store. These little intrusions making her come to the realization that she is not safe, nor will her private life be, but she can sure as hell try and call the cops, who are most likely for sale, and they have no problem with fucking her over for a quick buck, while she tries to fight this threat off. Day 4. Heather's sleep cycle, or circadian rhythm, has now been hijacked, and that booby trap at work that's been set with the pissed off client is now costing Heather her job. She goes home now to an empty house she no longer feels safe in, and she is well aware that she is being watched, and the police will not help her. This puts her in the beginning of what is called a pit of despair mindset, or conditioned helplessness, and the beginnings of years of her life wasted. She will extinguish all her resources and relationships trying to fight this. Does this sound like somebody you know? Could you be getting into a career where telling the truth is always an option you're going to take? If this sounds like you or somebody you know, or if you're just curious about how the formula for destroying a life is done, it's important for you to listen to me, as I will give you a field guide for surviving COINTELPRO 2.0 torture. This preliminary video is to lay a groundwork for expectations. In the short videos, we will give you a 360 for each piece of the recipe that can upheaval even millionaires and politicians, let alone an American citizen who has a high respect for exposing the truth. I encourage you to keep watching